Hi, I'm Cindy from the Indie Road, and we are fortunate enough to have met Jen and her husband, Brian, at the ECETI Spirit Science and World Transformation Conference this year at Trout Lake, Washington. Jen and Brian are a beautiful, enlightened couple on the path of spiritual awakening, and Jen was a presenter at the conference. Do you want to share a little bit about yourself and your background?
Sure. Yeah. Well, currently I'm living in Colorado. I have a family, and my husband and I, we met, and it was, joined at the hip from the very beginning, and we started a pretty epic journey together. And I always kind of had like an entrepreneurial spirit. And when I met Brian, he's an amazing artist. And so we were just trying to find a way that we could kind of launch ourselves into something utilizing both his artistic abilities and my drive to create something unique in the world. And we were both bikers at the time. So we ended up creating a clothing line for women, and women specifically that ride their own motorcycles. So I was a rider myself, and had been, I had a Harley. Mm-hmm. And rode that everywhere, and went to Sturgis every year. And, I went and looked for a shirt that said, "Hey, I'm a chick and I ride my own," just to kind of celebrate that chick power that I was feeling. And I didn't find anything. So there it was. That was our spark. And we ended up creating this clothing line. It's called One Bad Bitch.
I love that.
Quality stitches for quality bitches. Total chick power. And it just became such a fun outlet for us. It started off as a hobby, but it got really big really fast. Mm-hmm. And we found ourselves traveling coast to coast multiple times in the year, and setting up at biker rallies, concerts, different types of events, and it got really, really big. And it was interesting because I started to see myself losing myself, and just wearing so many hats and doing so many things. I was really losing touch with my own sort of like sense of self, and, having to always put myself out there as one bad bitch, created a lot of challenges after a while. And then that put some stress on our marriage. And then we got pregnant. And so then it was like, wow, how are we really going to pull this off where we're traveling and doing this with a baby now? Mm-hmm. So Spirit was definitely moving us to realign our lives. And through just a lot of compounding things, we were faced with really having to heal ourselves and our relationship. Mm-hmm. And so, and then with having a baby coming in, it was like, okay, life isn't just about me anymore. I've got this little one that I need to figure myself out. I got to figure out how to take care of this little beautiful child I'm about to bring into this world. And so, Brian, that's kind of like when he was like our divine intervention. My son was my divine intervention. And I'm really, really thankful for that, because, that was like the spirit knocking on my door saying, come on, Jen, it's time to get with it and find the light. And so Brian and I entered into a mystery school, and we were just dabbling here and there in different types of modalities and occult and mysticism and mystical, metaphysical stuff. And then we found the Star Knowledge conferences. Mm-hmm. And this is what Chief Golden Light Eagle created. He started these conferences back in 1996. Through the guidance of his own awakening journey. He was given information through symbols and told, it's time for this to be made public, like no more secrets. And so his first Star Knowledge Conference in 1996 drew all kinds of attention. There were many people in the realms of metaphysics and spirituality and transformation, and also the CIA and military. They were all very, very curious what this man was bringing out into the public. And so I have to give him a lot of credit, because, it was one of those fires that, we can often find ourselves standing in when we're bringing out truth. Mm-hmm. And so he started doing these conferences regularly around 11/11, because he works with the 11/11 star symbols. These are the universal and spiritual laws of creation. And so they were actually shown to him through a moment of contact. And later, these symbols were also found at some of the crash the craft that were crashed at Roswell.
Okay.
And so there, you can really see, okay, these really are universal. And so he took these symbols into ceremony with some other people. And with the way of the pipe, they asked Spirit, what do these mean? What are these? How do we use them? And so a bunch of amazing information was channeled in, and their like some guardians presented themselves as the keepers, or the ones that talk about what these symbols do and how to use them and their influence. And so the 1111 symbols really are a way that mirror into the universe, kind of what's going on here. So we create a symbiotic relationship with all of our relations throughout the universe when we work with these energies. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like I'm kind of going off on a tangent, so I better stop and just check in and see if this is...
No, that's awesome. That's what I wanted to know. You're actually answering all the questions I had written down. So
okay, great.
Keep going, because I really wanted to know a little bit more about the symbols, and also what to expect if we were to attend a Star Knowledge Conference.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So, so kind of just tuning back into my little journey story there, I started working with the symbols after attending my first Star Knowledge Conference in 2010. We went to the Farmington, New Mexico conference, and our son was, a few months old at that point. And, it was really hard to put into words the experience of being at this conference, and we still hold the tradition of doing these conferences in this way. We have the big grandmother drum. We sing a lot of the songs that come from the stars. Mm-hmm. Our star relations have given us these songs. They're thousands and thousands and thousands of years old. And when you sing these songs, I mean, you experienced it too, Cindy, when we were at ECETI. They stir something inside of you that is really, it's hard to describe, but it's activating. It's, you're feeling like a remembrance starting to come in. The vibration is raising in the room and within yourself, and it just feels really magical. And so then on top of that, bringing in some of these amazing wisdom keepers and these code carriers and light workers and healers, authors of all different modalities, get an opportunity to present at our conferences and share their wisdom. And so as the conference progresses, you can just feel the energy just continue to rise and build. And then you're meeting all of these amazing people that are there attending the conference. And then the more you start talking to each other, little light bulbs start to flash on, and you get little aha moments, and then your heart opens, and maybe you're crying off in the woods for a little while, and then you come back and you're like, woohoo, I don't know what that was, but that felt great to let that go, or whatever it was, and so but just and really for me, like, okay, so I started working with Chief Golden Light Eagle pretty closely within a few years of after attending that conference, and now I find myself being the event coordinator, and I've been coordinating events with him, let's see, since 2014. And where was I going to go with that one? I guess just that, we keep it in the tradition of, just letting spirit move things, but, we have a format, but it's really always amazing what comes through, because it's always relative to what we're in on an external level as well as on an internal level. Mm-hmm. And so, they're all different, but yet they all hold a beautiful energy that help us really tap into a deeper connection of our spiritual awakening.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to attending one. I know what the energy is like at ECETI. It's amazing. It's beautiful. And I love connecting with members of my tribe, because it seems like we gather in those places. And it's just a powerful experience. It's really hard to explain. It's just a heart-to-heart connection that you make with other people. And it's like you almost like recognize each other, like, hey, wait a minute, how do I know you? I've never met you before, but I know you somehow at a soul level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens so much. Like, I know you, or you look so familiar.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah,
Awesome.
we know each other.
Yeah.
Maybe not in this lifetime, but somewhere along the line, you know,
Yeah.
energetic signature that is very recognizable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So also you recently did a Sundance,
Mm-hmm.
and you want to tell me about that?
Yeah, yeah. So along with the conferences, you know, Chief Golden Light Eagle, he's also one of the one of the seven chiefs for the Sundance out in the Yankton Sioux Reservation. And so when we met and attended Star Knowledge Conference, we were then invited to join in with the Sundance ceremonies that were taking place every year. And so we have been doing them in Iowa, and we had a 13-year run at this beautiful land in Iowa with a beautiful land keeper, Sandy, who just so lovingly supported the ceremony being there on her land. And it came to a completion. It was beautiful. And then we moved it onto the land in South Dakota once again. So it's kind of returned to its original land. And we just did our first Sundance there in many, 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 many years out in Wagner, South Dakota on the Yankton Sioux Reservation where our chief lives. And so that was just recently back in June. We do our Sundance ceremony over the summer solstice every year. And, we were in the height of all the COVID energies. I don't want to give it a lot of energy other than just calling it what it is.
Right.
And it just created a lot of tests for so many of us on so many levels, including our Sundance community. So we weren't quite sure, who was going to show up and who was going to, be there. And it was such a pleasant surprise when I got there to see that a lot of people did choose to rise above the fear and show up and participate in the Sundance ceremony that we do. And it was so beautiful because then I was guided to actually dance this year. So I Sundanced, and we had about maybe 20 Sundancers. And it was absolutely amazing. Just a really, really beautiful time that we got to spend together. And I would call this one of the most important times that we need to come together and pray. Just given where we're at in our culture and our society and politically and with the virus and all of that stuff that comes with it that we're witnessing unfold right now. Mm-hmm. And so just to be able to put in my prayers for myself, for my family, for my community, for humanity, for this planet, for our connection to all it is, was truly so magical for me. And my year is unfolding very beautifully now. So I'm excited just to see the doors that are opening and the beautiful people that I'm meeting. You and I met at ECETI and we fell in love with you too. And just, we're meeting so many masters that are stepping in and stepping up and saying yes to the doors that are opening and saying yes to the gifts that they hold so that they can bring them out and share them with the world, because it is so needed right now. And so I'm just standing in fascination and awe and excitement of everything that I see around me in the midst of all of the other things that are also going on that are completely on the other side of that polarity.
Absolutely. It's really important that we gather and we channel that energy and bring it into the earth from the higher realms, and to ground it so that it can become a new world, a new earth, and to heal. We need to heal so much because there's so much darkness on this planet. Any messages that came from the Sundance or the Star Knowledge Conference that would be beneficial for us as we go through these hard times?
Yeah, I had a lot of personal messages that came in for me, and I can just share with you kind of the energy of the Sundance, because every year, you know, we ask a relative to give itself for our prayers for our dance, and that relative is a tree. And so the tree that sacrificed itself to be, you know, sort of our conduit for spirit to come through to us on this earth was named the protector of the children. So Aijaki Ayawanka was the name of our tree this year. And so we danced in the energy and focus for protection of our children. And we were also moving into we had a new moon eclipse, or new moon and a solar eclipse on the solstice. And that's our day, we call it Healing Day. And so that's the third day of our Sundance. And so moving into the energy of the firefly new moon, which opened up the Stargate of Innocence, was so perfectly timed because we got to pray for the protection of the children and their innocence.
Yes.
And, you know, that just, you know, you can't make this stuff up. You can't time it. You can't, like, we're so in the energy of preserving something so precious. And on one hand, you know, we have to see it, we have to feel it to see, you know, we have to feel it to heal it. See it, feel it, to heal it. And so we're seeing a lot of the darkness showing itself, and it's perfect because, you know, now we're at that time where we're praying about it, you know, and so, you know, we're all doing our inner work. Well, maybe not all of us, but we're seeing a lot more people waking up and choosing to do the inner work to really heal something deep inside themselves. And an aspect of that healing is our innocence. It is our inner child, if you will. And so I'm seeing that playing out right now, just based on, you know, what we experienced with Sundance and the prayers that I put in. I put in prayers for, you know, our upper chakras to be opened and awakened. You know, our heart chakra is the unity chakra, our throat chakra is harmony. This is our truth, and then this is our freedom. So our crown chakra is our freedom chakra. And so just imagining, you know, I spent a lot of time imagining those chakras opening up and those becoming, you know, beautifully spinning, colorful portals of light and love, and just, you know, blasting that out into the ethers, to humanity and to the earth, and anchoring that prayer in. And so it's
that's going to be really important now as we move forward, is to deal with the blocks that are keeping us from healing, and to actually opening and be in balance in those higher chakras. I see a lot of people just existing in the lower three chakras, that are based in just survival mode, and they're very emotional. Many people do know that I work in juvenile corrections, so I see that in my work, a lot of kids existing in the lower three chakras, and learning how to open up their heart chakra. That's the first step, is to learn how to love themselves and to heal themselves and their inner child. And a lot of times that's through laughter. They need to be that child again, and to laugh, and to begin the healing process.
Wow, that's beautiful work. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, been a while. Been doing this for some time. And
my gosh.
Talking about the children, you know, so many kids are abused and neglected, and it shuts off that higher frequency of love, and it keeps them on a lower vibration. And so the most important thing that we can do right now is focus on our children. And that's why I love the hashtag Save the Children. Nothing can ever move forward unless we can deal with this issue. The worst evil on this planet is the evil that many people do towards the children. Not only because of making them sick with the chemicals that are in the food, and the distorted entertainment that they plug themselves into. It's also the child abuse and the child trafficking, and that has to stop if we're going to move forward and heal this planet.
Mhm. Yeah, and as hard as it is to see, you know, that reality, it's so wonderful that it is coming out and being talked about. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, it's pretty rugged, and when you go down the rabbit hole, it's not a fun time, and it brings up a lot. And I remember when I kind of red pilled myself into that awareness, it took me probably a couple months before I, you know, felt sort of normal again.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a mom, I've got a young child, and just the unfathomable was actually true to be happening in our world. And it was really difficult to wrap my head and my heart around. And so, you know, once I got onto the other side, it just gave me such a deeper level of not only love, but appreciation and more responsibility, sacred responsibility over my family. And so, yeah, it's intense work, but we're doing it. The ones that are choosing to do it are remarkable people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not easy facing the darkness, but in order to bring more light to this world, we have to actually shine a light on the darkness so they can't hide anymore. That's where they have their power, is in the darkness. Because if we ignore it and we pretend everything is fine because we can't deal with it, then it keeps happening.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, it's pretty obvious we've chosen this lifetime at this time, this divine appointment to deal with it finally out in the open.
Yes.
And now there's no turning back. I mean, this is a snowball that's going down a massive mountain, and it's getting bigger and it's moving faster, and it can't be stopped anymore. And so it's like you can either try and dodge this giant snowball and get mulled over by an avalanche, and bring some sunlight to it and start melting it down, you know?
Yeah. Yep. Well, that goes into my next set of questions I have for you. In one of your recent videos, you spoke of the Stargate of Freedom. And I think that is the ultimate goal. We all want to have that experience of freedom on this planet. We don't want to feel imprisoned anymore in our 9-to-5 jobs, or all the darkness on the planet. So you were talking about that. What is that? And can you explain your perspective on freedom, what that looks like from your angle?
Sure. You know, this is such a rich topic, really, 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 really rich. And, you know, it's as rich as love, because, you know, if we were to ask 20 people in a room to describe or define what love is, we're likely not just get 20 definitions, but infinite definitions of what love is, right? And I feel like freedom is one of a very similar type of ideology, essence. Freedom is very, very rich because it taps into not only like our physical 3D reality, our physical existence. Freedom is also an emotional state, it's a mental state, and it's a spiritual capability. And so, you know, we could probably talk all day long about what is freedom. And so, you know, I have been really tuning into this, as you saw in my video, since April 4th. I was guided to do a vision quest, and I did it kind of independently. And normally I have Iopagi, Chief Golden Light Eagle, to put me up on the hill. And with everything going on in the world, that wasn't really a realistic possibility to do that in the physical together. And Spirit just said, just do it. You have to do this yourself. And so I went into my sweat lodge and I fasted overnight and had a really, really incredible vision quest ceremony. And it was all about being self-reliant.
Mm-hmm.
And I got some pretty intense teachings. You know, they actually picked me up and threw me onto the hot stones that were in the middle of the sweat lodge. And it was terrifying and remarkable all at the same time, because, you know, when we're pushed, especially pushed forward, like that's our natural reaction, is to put our hands out and catch ourselves from face planting. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened inside the sweat lodge. And I put my hands out, and all in that split second of a moment, I realized if I put my hands on these stones, I'm in big trouble. Mm-hmm. And so I put my hands out, and all of a sudden I flew back. And so it was just like, boom, you know, like something happened energetically, and I was able to push myself off without touching the hot stones. And so, like, they gave me this really amazing teaching about innocence and how we're taught fear, and also the freedom of getting to choose what our reality is. And so I've been kind of marinating in, you know, the messages and the teachings and the vision that have come through since April 4th. That was the Stargate of Freedom, is what they told me. And so, but I want to kind of flash forward more present time right now, because we just entered into the moon of the bear. In our star knowledge teachings, we are in the moon of the bear. And the new moon opened up the Stargate of introspection. But the universal and spiritual laws that we work with bring in the spiritual law of, or it's spiritual freedom of man, is the energy of this moon. So it's spiritual freedom of man is the symbol and essence of this current moon cycle that we're in right now. And it's the bear that comes in and shares these teachings about freedom. And so, you know, everything's kind of like tying all into this beautiful little bow right now, because it does talk about emotional freedom. And, you know, right now it's like we're being asked to activate our spiritual gifts. Mm-hmm. And the earth is raising her vibration and saying, you know, come on, it's time. I need you in a vibration that's higher, where you're bringing in your spiritual gifts. Mm-hmm. And so the test is really to surrender yourself to spirit and open up the gates that have been closed. Yes. Because when we can open up the gates that have been closed, we get access to all of our amazing gifts of future sight, of prayer, of healing, of love. And, you know, who are we to withhold our sacred gifts, you know, versus, you know, let's step in. Let's face our greatest challenge. Let's approach what fears us the most, mm-hmm. and face it and heal it. And move into the light with who we are on a spiritual level. And so, you know, we have a lot of emotions to clean up as humans. That is the darkness on this planet. It's not the planet herself. It's the human being. Mm-hmm. That is the darkness that needs to be cleaned up. Yeah. And so the more that we can individually take a moment, you know, anytime we're triggered, to take a moment and ask, okay, what is this showing to me? What do I need to know about why I'm triggered right now? Mm-hmm. And going into the emotion of it and searching out what it is that continually, you know, like has a pattern that shows up for us. You know, something happens, we get triggered, and boom, you know, we react to that. So I love what the bear message says. It says, you know, would you set a dinner plate for your relation, the bear? Could you hold love when fear might tempt you? So, you know, sorry, I have to tune in for just a second.
That's fine.
It's like really high energy.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And you know what's really amazing is that when we can harmonize with these influences of these moon cycles here on Earth, we're harmonizing with all of creation. So because these are universal laws, there's life out there that is also working in the same energy. We're all in the same influence. And so the more we can do here on this planet, the more we're doing on a collective level. But it's not even just a collective level, it's like a galactic level. There's that galactic consciousness as well. And so there are many, many, many beings and essences and life out there that are watching us on this planet, holding their breath. They need us to do our work, and they're silently cheering us on, or maybe not silently they're there cheering us on, and we're all in this together. And so this 1111 frequency has to do with the Earth being the star of freedom. We are the star of freedom as planet Earth. And it's, the way of the morning star, the Venus is our polarized mirror. And Venus is working with us to raise our frequencies, to raise our vibration. And so we're getting a lot of help that is so much bigger than what we've known or can see. And it's really beautiful if we can just take some time and step into the mystery and be in the silence and do something really magical, which is deeper healing on ourselves and bringing more light within our own being, so that we can reflect back out and back into our families, into our communities, out into humanity, into that collective consciousness, and bringing that out into the galactic consciousness. So freedom, it's so rich and deep and expansive that, what does it mean to truly feel free?
Yeah.
Do you feel truly free? Like, how do you view freedom? What is your perception?
It's constantly evolving, but I think true freedom is having time. I think time is a currency in itself, and not having the fear of, I have to pay these bills to be able to have more freedom. I believe exactly what you said. Freedom comes from within, and it's a mindset, it's an attitude. Yes, we have to navigate into this world, but I visualize freedom living out on the land, connected to the earth, connected to my tribe, my people, being able to get up in the day and say, hey, I want to go work out in the garden. I want to make some tinctures today. I want to be creative. I want to go and meditate out in the field. I want to make some bread today. It's not, I have to go to work because I have to pay the bills. I think freedom is, I'm going to go out to the field and collect my food because I want to eat for me and my family. Yes.
And you're doing that, right? Like, you've created to move into that more fully, right?
Yeah. We created gardens in our yard in town. We have chickens. We have beehives. We are practicing, and we're, the more you actually act on that feeling of what it is that you desire, the more freedom you create. It's the law of manifestation.
Yes, absolutely. And that kind of harmonizes, like, opening those gates. Mm-hmm. So, visualizing and tuning in to your heart's desire and seeing what that might look like, but then creating the action that can help you manifest that. Mm-hmm. And may not be an overnight success or anything, but, just even putting some thought, maybe writing down some ideas, buying the seeds, tilling the soil, creating the space. Like, it's a process. And it's so beautiful that you've chosen to do that work for yourself and are manifesting it. Because we have to have a bridge to get out of that matrix. Ego calls it, he says we're all prostitutes, we're all working from 9 to 5, we're all selling out,
Right.
more or less, but, when we can, use our spiritual capacities to open, lift the veils of time, peer into the future, ask for support from God creation, from our guides, our ancestors. Help me, please just come help me. I want to make change. This is where I'm wanting to move. Can you help me? And then, listening to spirit and following through. Those are like the really basic, that's the basic process. It's not a basic process, but on a 3D level, that's the basic process. And so, the more that we can be doing that, versus, like you said, letting that voice win over us moving forward and saying, well, no, you have to go to work today. You have to show up and do this. You've got bills to pay, yeah. And we can still be doing more.
Right.
And so, this is really about shifting our perceptions. Shifting our perceptions is changing our reality. Changing our reality opens up freedom.
Yeah.
So.
And with the current events, with being at home, for a lot of people, I haven't had that opportunity to stay at home, which I'm fortunate. But a lot of people are have a lot more time on their hands, and they're having to reinvent themselves as well, and that gives them an opportunity for freedom.
Absolutely. And I love that you said that, because like I am so in the energy of reinventing myself right now. And I know it's not just me. We're all being given this amazing opportunity, if we choose to look at it as such, to really take a closer look at what we've created and maybe uncreate or recreate or co-create something completely different. And so, you doing this podcast is such an inspiration for me, because that's part of how I want to reinvent myself.
Excellent.
Is to be out there talking about, the star knowledge. And, there's a lot of people coming online right now that are seeking and needing something more. And, who am I not to do this when somebody might need a little assistance understanding how to work with these energies and these symbols? That's the time right now that we have to say yes. And
so question, for some clarity, what is the first step that people can take?
I am actively working on creating a gathering right now. And so coming to a star knowledge, of course, is one of the best ways just to get a feel for the energy and get very deep teachings about the symbols and, where they came from, how we work with them, and that kind of thing. But a great place to start is also to buy the symbols book. It's a little bit more like a manual than it is a book. And then just to start, reading it and reading the messages that are timed with the energies of the moon cycles. Mm-hmm. And then you'll start to see, things start, really seemingly more balanced. You're like harmonizing with the universe more. And so if a challenge comes up, you'll have some perspective and some knowledge and, some teachings to help you work through that. Mm-hmm. And I still, to this day, I've been working with these symbols for 10 years now. And like, I just opened up my book this morning and read something that said something new to me. Wow. Like it still has that energy and influence for me. I still get something new from it every single day. And so, Chief Golden Light Eagle has brought through the 1111 book, and it's called the Symbols book. And then we also have a 1212 book. The 1212 energies are the ceremonies, the 8 ceremonies that work with like the equinoxes and the solstices and other key points throughout the year. And they're the solar ceremonies. And then we also are now teaching the 1313 influences, and that's the way of peace. And so those are the quarter moon energies. And so I'm working with all the moon cycles now. So I'm working, you know, like the full moon, the new moon, all the quarter moons, plus all the big pinnacle crossovers of the equinoxes and solstices and things like that. And so it's like, it just continues to build and build and build. And, you know, it's the star path. So you're activating all your DNA and you're raising your vibration. It becomes easier to work with your shadows. You're bringing in light from a different source, and we're also, you know, meeting amazing people that are also working in these ways that help us continue our sort of collective activation as well. And it's raising, there is no doubt it's raising the vibration of this planet. And as that happens, it stirs people up, you know, so that could be partially why things feel so chaotic, because we can't run anymore.
No.
You can't run and hide anymore. You just have to face it, however that looks for you. And so we're seeing so much, you know, in the way of, you know, suicides are on the increase, and addiction, and, you know, alcohol and drug use, and, you know, it's having a huge effect on us. And so, you know, that's what I do, is I hold what I can within myself and pray for everybody that we get through this. And
that's beautiful. All right. So, I just recently bought your book, the 1111 book, actually, from Eagle, and he has a website, correct? Where
yes,
you can buy that?
so you can go to starknowledge.org, and that has our shop on it where you can buy the books, and you can also see, you know, the events and things that we're working on, and it gives you a bit of background on Chief. And kind of like his journey a little bit, and shows you what the symbols are, like what they look like. And it's still, you know, it's a website in the making as well, but at least, you know, it's a place to start and get some information there. Have you gotten your book?
Not yet. I'm looking forward to getting it, and Ian really wants to dive into it, and we're going to work with the symbols.
Awesome.
Yeah,
and that's part of what I'm working on right now, is in my reinvention of myself, is creating some webinars and maybe some more little videos here and there to help people just get started in using the symbols, you know, and because it's not really super clear all the time, like what influence you're in.
right.
And so, because, you know, we're working on a 13 moon calendar. So it breaks you out of the 12-month kind of linear approach to reality. And so time isn't really what we think it is, because it's working with the 13 moons versus the 12. So yeah, and I'm excited to bring that out more, so we can all like sync up even more, and, you know, be doing so much more on a unified level. And that's really exciting to me. That's where my passion is right now. So love to see you, you know, getting in tune with it, and seeing what comes through for you, because, you know, we all hold a piece. We all hold a piece of this beautiful puzzle. And I just get excited to see what people find and share, you know, just as much for me as they do for themselves. So
yeah. Well, we can work with those energies at our little corner of the universe here, and hopefully we can create some healing energy in this area in the Northwest. And we need it.
How is it out there in your neck of the woods with Portland and everything going on?
Kind of crazy. I don't know if you've been watching the news, but there's been a lot of burning down of buildings, and a lot of angry people. So I think that all needs to be worked out and brought up to the surface, but it needs to be healed. There needs to be an outlet instead of violence.
Yeah, and, you know, it's like part of it too, when I kind of step back and do more of the galactic view, it's, you know, we're in a time of massive purification.
Yes.
And fire is purification. You know, we're having fires in Colorado, there's fires in California, New Mexico. I haven't really like fully figured out where everything's burning right now, but then, you know, we're literally like cities are being burned to the ground, and you know, it's just like there's like this fierce burning down, and that's why it's so great that when we can tune into something like the spiritual freedom of man, you know, we can use the purification to really find love. You know, that's inside in the core, and that's what really is trying to be revealed right now.
That's the ultimate goal, is to find love in all of this.
Yeah, I'm just holding space that's where it's all leading to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's always darkest before the dawn. So
true.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's awesome. Great information and good energy here. Where can people find your information? Online?
Yeah, mostly online. So the starknowledge.org website. And then I'm also a shadow coach, a breakthrough shadow coach, and a heal your heart coach. And my focus in my practice is working with the shadow, bringing light to the dark. And so if anybody is interested in knowing more about that, I have a website, and it's called EdenArising.com. And so you can see a little bit more about me, my background, and the work that I do on healing the inner child, and, you know, really finding more balance within yourself. And, you know, and it's just like, it's such important work right now. I feel like it is the most important work that we can be doing right now is healing ourselves on an inside level. Because the more we're balanced and whole, the less there is for any darkness to seep in and sabotage us. And so, you know, it's just, something struck me the other day. I was watching that movie Shadowgate, and they were talking about shadow hacking.
Oh, wow.
And that was a term that it kind of like punched me in the gut. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, there are tools in place, there are systems in place, there are algorithms in place that seek to trigger shadow.
Okay.
And, you know, and that was a concept that just flipped me on my head. You know, that there is a purposeful energy seeking to trigger us, you know. And so the more that we know ourselves, the more we can heal our shadow and find gifts and, you know, reclaim disowned aspects and qualities of who we are, the less we can be manipulated.
Yeah.
The less we can be targeted and infiltrated. And, you know, the less we are at the waves of the chaos. And right. So I'm just really seeing.
I think the truth of that, what you just said, is we need to raise our vibration. And by doing that, you raise it through love and healing all the garbage that we've collected along the way, because that creates a Faraday cage where it protects us. Love, that energy. Yes, there's going to be chaos all around us. We're going to see it, but we'll be more protected, and we won't be a target. Or as manipulated when we are experiencing that vibration of love.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yay, somebody that gets it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. So anyway, that's my story in a nutshell. And I'm just excited that, you know, we're connected and seeing the beautiful work that you and Ian are doing with nature and plant medicines and just all the beautiful things that you guys are bringing out too. I really appreciate what you do.
Oh, I appreciate what you do, and your information is amazing. It's very inspiring, and I just keep up the good work.
Yeah, we're all in it together.
We are. And we definitely consider you and Brian as part of our tribe.
Awesome. Yeah, I know. I can't wait to see you guys again. Maybe we can have a little reunion up at ECETI again.
Yeah.
Do some sky watching.
Awesome. Right. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been great to catch up.
Yep. All right. Bye.
Take care. See ya.